Anyone have a question?
Hi, Stuart.
Yes.
In a dream I had recently, this came up. Doing, being, no thinking. Would you talk about that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I talk about all the time. Uh, Look, we live in the world. We're active beings that have to interact with other human beings. We have karma to work out. We have to do in life. But doing is not just, you know, interacting, it's doing consciously. And to do consciously, we need to have a system inside that is strong enough to do that, that's connected to higher energy. Chakra system is highly developed so that when we do in life, whatever we do, whether it's, sweeping a floor or cooking, food or whatever it is we do it consciously and we do it and we allow it to come out of our heart. If we think about it, we really bring it down to a level that exists in the human mind. And it never is as creative and as fulfilling, and it doesn't allow the heart to open because also in the act of doing, we have to do with love, with compassion, with, forgiveness. We have to interact with the human race. No matter what we do, we have to interact on that level. So, when you talk about ask questions like that, that's what it is. And how do you do this? It's not something you kind of write down in a memo book and say, well, today I'm going to make a resolution. I'm going to do and not think. And it takes time to build a system inside that really is strong enough to live that way. The alternative, is we all know it, arguing, fighting, unhappy, depression. We know that. I'm sure everybody has lived through those things. And part of doing this work is to finally get to a place where we're free of that, where when we do interact with life, we do it with open hearts, with love, with compassion, so, it's very important stuff to learn because we're here to work out karma. That's why we're born on the earth. And how do you work out karma? You got to learn how to transform all of the negative energies that we experience into something that really gets us closer to God. And then when we interact with life, we work out our karma by doing it with our hearts open, with love. Not just, periodically when good things happen, but literally all the time. Unconditional love all the time, being capable of living that way. And it doesn't mean that one is weak, and it doesn't mean that people can take advantage of you, because when you're open that way, there's really nobody that can take advantage of you because you have such a deep inner strength that the energy you give off will keep people from doing negative things to you. We attract exactly what we give off. If you attract negative energies, be sure somewhere in you, you're giving off energy like that, that attracts that to yourself. So all of this is really essential. Because, as I always talk, there's three things we have to work out in this life. One of them is, life itself. We have to really live life with consciousness, with love, with compassion. The second one is being connected to God, to spirit, you know, and the third one is the activation of Kundalini. All of these things become possible when we develop the foundation inside ourselves and we can keep our hearts open. So, it's not just words, it's really action, it's living, it's learning, it's growing, it's making commitments to what really gives you your life and really helps you to develop yourself inside. I mean, that's the key to all of this. Nobody can do this by periodic visits to a meditation class. It just doesn't work. There has to be that focus, that commitment, that inner work that enables one to build a system that allows you to do it and not think about it and not, and to do it with openness and love and, to work out that part of life that has to be worked out and that really scares most people, which is interacting with the world. Because, frankly, the world is a fairly, surreal place. I mean, most people don't function here with a lot of consciousness. But that doesn't mean we, can't function here with a lot of consciousness. How other people live is not the problem, it's the way we live. That's the problem. It's also the solution to the problem by making the commitment to build a system inside that is strong enough to do what I'm talking about. Does anyone else have a question? You're welcome.
I have a question, Stuart. You talk about karma frequently. Could you explain what karma is?
I don't know, you can look in Webster's dictionary, they'll give you a definition of karma. I mean, karma it's everything we do. It's every act. It's every single thing we do every day of our lives is an expression of karma, the interaction we do with the world, how conscious we are when we interact with the world. Are we capable of turning around our anger, transforming it into love? Are we capable of having compassion, forgiveness? Are we capable of acting consciously in the world? Overcoming fear, insecurity in ourselves? Things like relationships and money and, which usually bring about 95% of all tension to people. Can we overcome these things and interact with the world on a way where we can love unconditionally? We can not be afraid of money and being insecure about all kinds of things that people are insecure about in life. But karma is everything we do. And when we start doing it on the level that I've been talking about this evening, we start working out the karma. We learn how to transform negativity into an energy that gets us closer to God, so that everything in life becomes the teacher instead of the enemy, instead of the thing that we're afraid of. Is the thing we embrace because it teaches us exactly what we have to do to grow closer to God. That's how you work out karma. We build a system inside that allows life to be the teacher. Life is no longer the enemy. Life is no longer a pain in the ass. It's just teaching us every day what we need to learn to grow, to become more human, to live with love, with happiness, with joy, with open hearts. That's how you work out karma. You work out karma by working out your inner life, by building a system that can keep the heart open. And then your interaction with other human beings is that way. And, a lot of us are afraid of that, for people are going to take advantage of you. The only time people can really take advantage of you is when you're closed inside. You're not open inside. When you're really open inside, there's so much strength coming out of you. There's so much energy coming out of you that it really, people interact with you in a different way. That's what working out calm is. And then whether we're in the grocery store, we're driving a car, we're at the dentist, or whatever we have to do, whatever it is, we do it with this kind of sense of it's our teacher. It is teaching us about ourselves. I mean, I always tell you that Rudy, before I went to Denton, Texas, actually, as I was going to Denton, just as I was leaving his store saying goodbye, he said to me, if anyone ever asks you who the guru is, tell them the guru is life. Took me many years to learn what he meant by that. But it was one of the great teachings of my life. Because, when I was younger, life was the enemy. And I used to hide out from it. And as I got stronger inside, life became the teacher, became the guru. Not Stuart, not Swami, this one, and Yogi, that one, and preachers and rabbis. Their job is to train people so that people can embrace life and allow life to be the teacher, to be the real guru. That's how one helps other human beings to also work out karma and get free of the earth. You don't have to come back to this place anymore.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question?
I have a question, Stuart.
Yes.
Could you talk about the balance between following our individual path and pursuits and our responsibility to take care and nurture our relationships?
A relationship with who?
Just family, friends, our people.
Yeah, but listen, family and friends, and they're your path. They're your path. Having a spiritual life is also your path. It's not one or the other. It's this and that and that and that and that. Whatever you experience in your life is your path. The good, the bad, the indifferent, whatever it is, it's your path. And that path is not in conflict with anything else. I mean, if you're not big enough to love and completely, unconditionally your family and make room inside yourself for them to live, you're never going to have a spiritual life. I mean this. It's not this path or that path, or it's all of it. I mean, look, I just look at my own life. I never dreamed in a billion years I'd be living in Connecticut, But I made a commitment to my daughter to help her, find her path in life. And it's working. And it certainly has never been in opposition to these meditations I teach. I mean, you got to recognize that whatever you do in life, it's your path. It's, as I said before, your karma. You got to learn how to work it out. And it can't be this, or I'm going to go to a spiritual life, so fuck everybody, It doesn't work. I'm going to go do a spiritual life to get strong enough to be able to love everybody. I remember the first time my mother came to one of my meditation. I'm telling you, you couldn't work out karma on a better level than having your mother sitting there in meditation. And the best part about it, the students I had were treating her like a queen. They loved her. They really, it was incredible how much they gave to her and loved her. I mean, it was a wonderful thing for her, for me. And yet, when I was a kid, I was the black sheep of the family. I was the one who was the nut, you know, hitchhiking all over Europe. He's, got gurus and this one. He wants to go to India. I was the nut in the family in my 20s. And then all of this turned around. And why did it turn around? Because I got strong enough to make it possible. That's the only reason it turned around. So if you have a problem with that, you just got to get stronger in yourself. You got to say, my God, this is teaching me that I haven't arrived at. I need to get a lot stronger to find room inside myself for these people who are in my life. I mean, there's room for all of you in my heart. There certainly has got to be a place for my daughter there, My father, my mother, God bless them. One of the great miracles in my life is when I found out that my father, who died when I was a very young person, he was my first teacher. And it transformed me when I discovered that, changed me inside. It became profound and unconditional love for what happened really, an hour before he died to me. But it took me years to recognize this. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Yeah, Rudy, in an article I read, was talking about separating the soul or the spirit from the body, the physical body. Could you discuss that? I kind of have a difficulty with that, especially in the one point. It feels very physical.
Well, look, it gets down to a simple fact. It's what we're doing in this meditation, building a system inside ourselves, a chakra system that is strong enough to ultimately allow the soul, and that happens the moment we leave the world, to free itself from the body. But without a strong chakra system, this doesn't happen. And the whole work of meditation is to build that kind of inner life so that we free ourselves of this samsara, this round of, illusion that we're born into that comes with our physical being. So, what he was talking about is exactly that, having to develop an inner life. And ultimately, we free the soul from having to return to this body, or a body on the earth where it has to continue to learn these lessons, about what it means to have a spiritual life and to be one with God. But that's the work. That's the inner work, building that kind of inner strength to do that. Because ultimately, look, we all die, we all leave the planet Earth. And it's whatever the condition we bring to that moment determines whether or not the soul is free to move on to the next realm of consciousness that it has to experience. Or it comes back here. It goes, the Tibetans, you go to the Bardo realm for 40 days and nights, They prepare you to come back. So what he was talking about, to my understanding, is that the use of deep inner work, spiritual practice, whatever method it happens to be, whether it's this or something else, to build a system inside that is strong enough to eventually allow the soul to be free of the body. And it happens, you can feel it happening because the more you work on yourself in depth, the lighter your being becomes. You know, there's joy, there's love inside, there's, you know, the heart really opens and the soul is slowly getting free. When there's depression and unhappiness all the time, it's just heavy, you know, it's heavy stuff that really creates a prison in which the soul lives until one day the body just exhausts itself, dies, the soul moves on, and then, you know, has to come back here to work it out again, you know? Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Stuart, this is Emma. Could you speak of the idea to love all things equally?
To love all things equally? I mean, I don't know if that's a possibility. I mean, it's to love all things. I don't know if it's going to be equal or not, or, you know, I mean, there are people that come into your life that really, you know, you love profoundly, and I don't know, but it's not, it's to allow all things to be your teacher, to embrace all things, you know, whatever capacity you have to do it. And not worrying about loving all things equally, because I don't think that's a possibility. But just allowing life to be, you know, just to be. Not to be what I want it to be, but just what it is. That's really a very high state of loving things in the world, to just let it be, let people be. They don't have to fit into your mold of the way they're supposed to live. You know, let animals and life just be. And you might love your husband, your wife, your child a lot more than you do a stone or a weed. But even a stone and a weed have souls, and you know, there's something there to learn from them. Does anyone else have a question would like to ask? And more importantly, one has to learn to love themselves, to like themselves. I used to say it a lot, you know, the only person we live with 24 hours a day is ourselves. And if we can't learn to really like and love ourselves, we're in a lot of trouble. It's going to be hard to learn to like and love other people and other things. So it's got to start there. And again, to get back to it, that's, you build a chakra system that gives you the strength to do that. To first of all, your own self-worth as a human being, not ego worth, but the treasure that it is to be you. And then it starts there. Then it moves out to family, friends, people you meet once and never see again, you know. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? I'm telling you, when you ask questions, it releases a floodgate of things that I don't even dream of talking about, and they just come.
Stuart, would you mind repeating that 6-line prayer that starts with in my heart is Rudy, and I didn't write it down, and my memory is terrible.
Yeah, it's a good thing. I do it a lot. It's like, in my heart is Rudy, my soul, Nityananda, you know,
Mhm.
uh, and I listen to the sound of Om. I live in the light of love at the center of the universe.
Oh, right.
We all live at the center of the universe.
Uh-huh. And I'm a child of God. Isn't it at one of them, one of the lines? I'm a child of God.
Yeah, the first line, I'm God's child,
I am God's child. Yeah. Okay.
Rudy in my heart with Nityananda in my soul.
Yeah.
I listen to the sound of Om.
Uh-huh.
I live in the light of love at the center of creation.
Creation. Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, if there are no more questions, there'll be meditation on Wednesday evening. And God bless you all. Thank you for being here, for being part of this, for allowing me to learn so much. I think I've learned more in the year of doing this Zoom stuff than I can remember learning in my whole life. So God bless you all for doing this, being part of this. And I'm very grateful to do this and share my life with all of you. And hopefully I'll see you all on Wednesday. So have a good
Thank you
evening.
very much, Stuart. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, Stuart.
Stuart.
Feeling good.